你敢信这英国首相斯塔默最开心的日子竟然是在中国的那几天？英国政坛这几天可真是太热闹了。首相斯塔默刚从中国访问回来，屁股还没有坐热呢，就被反对党保守党党魁巴德诺赫在下议院指着鼻子骂，说他带着众多英国人的希望，大老远跑到中国，却一味的向中国妥协、讨好卖笑，啥好处也没捞着，被中国耍得团团转，还阴阳怪气的说中国是他这个共和党的梦想。他在滔滔不绝的时候，下面还一堆人应和着起哄呢。你可想而知，当时的斯塔默内心啥感受？估计心里在想，你们笑话我，换你们去也跟我一个德行。咱就说这斯塔默真没帮英国捞到好处吗？还是他们的胃口太大了，填不满呢？斯塔默带着50多位英国商界大佬，辛辛苦苦谈了4天，拿到了22亿英镑的出口协议，以及未来5年约23亿英镑的市场准入预期。更重要的是，中方给的可不是一次性的订单，而是制度性红利。2月2日起，英国威士忌进口关税从 10% 降到了 5%。同时，中方还启动对英国公民单方面免签。这意味着什么？这意味着英国企业能持续的赚钱，意味着英国经济能看到确定性。等于是不光是你英国这次来中国有肉吃，直接还送你一只会下蛋的鸡，让你一直都有鸡蛋吃。可以说就是满载而归，是在当下英国经济承压、财政吃紧的背景下，这些成果比任何外交辞令都要管用。可结果呢？斯塔默一回英国就被保守党劈头盖脸的一顿喷。巴德诺赫在下议院那叫一个义正言辞，唾沫星子横飞，说斯塔默访华就是软弱无力、目光短浅，说他行李箱里除了那几个拉布布玩偶啥都没有带回来，还恶意揣测说不定那玩偶里有窃听器，你斯塔默检查了没有就给带回来。当然了，斯塔默也不是好欺负的主，当场直接回怼，那叫一个字字诛心啊，把保守党怼得哑口无言。他拍着桌子说，你们天天喊着对华强硬，可你们知道现在的中国是世界第2大经济体，是英国第3大贸易伙伴，给英国提供了37万个就业岗位。斯塔默还特别强调说，你们这是21世纪早已过时的冷战思维，世界变了，中国不是100年前的中国，我们英国也不是。听听是不是感觉英国好不容易出了一个明白人，还被他们自己人骂得狗血淋头？说白了，这些人啊，还以为是在100多年前呢，派几艘军舰过来就能逼着中国签下不平等的条约，想干啥就干啥，想拿啥就拿啥，看上什么直接拿回家就属于你们英国的了。醒醒吧，高傲的英国人，晚上盖着被子蒙头睡，梦里啥都有。斯塔默还在努力试图叫醒这帮还没睡醒的人，接着又补刀说，我带着英国企业家去中国是为了给英国企业找订单，为了给英国老百姓找工作，为了让英国的产品卖到中国市场，这叫务实，不是妥协。你们这帮人只会躲在议会里骂街，除了喊口号还能为英国做些什么呢？拒绝和中国接触是放弃英国的利益，就是把英国的企业和工人往火坑里推。斯塔默一个劲儿的提醒他们，世界已经变了。可是呢，那帮反华反了半辈子的人哪里听得进去，根本就是一副我不听我不听。想想斯塔默处于这样一个位置，其实他也是挺难的。作为英国首相，他心里很清楚，现在的英国早就不是当年那个日不落帝国了。脱欧之后，英国的经济一塌糊涂，通胀高企，企业没有订单，老百姓的日子过得也是紧紧巴巴。苏格兰还闹独立，再这样下去那就是死路一条嘛。所以他访华说白了就是在给英国找活路，想借着中国的市场和机遇给英国的经济打一针强心剂。他自己也说了，中国在基础设施和技术上的速度英国是根本比不了的。在过去8年英国首相都不访华，白白错失了很多的良机。现在再不抓紧，那真的是要被世界甩到了身后了。可保守党这帮人呢，就是揣着明白装糊涂，满脑子除了反华还是反华，反的都已经魔怔了。他们还活在100多年前那个梦里，觉得自己还是那个坚船利炮开到哪儿就能抢到哪拿到哪的霸主， 觉得自己呢只要一开口，中国就得乖乖让步，只要首相一去中国就能捞到一大堆的好处。斯塔默谈不到，就是他能力不行，是被中国耍了，是斯塔默妥协了。可他们却从来不想一想自己手里还有什么筹码能让中国给他们低头。现在在西方当个明白人太难了，斯塔默敢说真话，敢承认中国的实力，敢为中国的利益和中国务实合作。可结果一回英国，就成了他们国家的叛徒软骨头。那些被反华洗脑洗了几十年的人，根本听不进任何客观的话。只要你敢说一句中国好，只要你不跟他们一起喊打喊杀，那他们就能用唾沫星子把你给淹死。他们活在自己编织的谎言里，拒绝承认中国比他们强，拒绝承认英国的衰落。就像斯塔默说的，他们这帮人啊，就是一群把头埋进沙子里的鸵鸟，以为看不见现实，现实就不存在。咱就打个比方，这就好比一个以前的大户人家，现在家道中落，穷得叮当响，去邻居家串门，想借邻居家的生意赚点钱。结果呢，邻居家好心给了不少的合作机会，这大户人家的亲戚听了还不乐意，说主人真是没骨气，拿的太少了。可他们自己也不想一想，自己家现在除了一个空架子，还有啥能和邻居叫板的？这不就是纯纯的自欺欺人吗？保守党骂斯塔默，你真没用，你被中国耍，一个拉布布就把你给打发了。可他们自己呢，有没有想过，换成他们来上台，就能谈出很好的结果吗？我看未必。现在的国际格局早就变了，不是西方说啥就是啥的时代了。法国总统、德国总理，还有那个加拿大总理，不都是纷纷访华吗？为啥？还不是已经意识到了不和中国合作，自己的日子就过不下去了。就连大漂亮也计划着4月份访华了，可英国保守党还在这里装清高呢。但咱们呢，这个话又说回来啊，你觉得这帮英国政客到底是真糊涂还是揣着明白装糊涂呢？大骂斯塔默不该跑到中国丢人现眼，没骨气，中国说什么都妥协了，可他们自己执政的时候呢，不也一样要和中国打交道吗？中英贸易额每年上千亿美元，双向投资近680亿美元，这些都是实实在在的利益。难道保守党上台就能够把这些利益都扔了？不可能的嘛！他们现在骂斯塔默，说白了就是为了党派斗争，为了抹黑工党，为了自己的政治利益。他们根本不管英国老百姓的死活，他们才不管英国企业有没有订单，不管英国人有没有工作，只要能让斯塔默下岗，那可劲儿的黑，可劲儿的骂，啥都敢说，啥锅都敢扣，就是一帮为了自己的政治私利互相攻击的草台班子。最后吃亏的只能是英国普通的老百姓们了。斯塔默算是个明白人，估计他呢看着这帮猪队友，恨不得一巴掌挨个呼醒他们。这一巴掌不光是为自己被骂的还击，更是在救英国啊。
Let's turn to China. Of course Britain should engage with China, even though the Chancellor wasn't allowed to go, even though they are an authoritarian state who seek to undermine our interests, even though they spy on us, sometimes within the walls of this building, even though they fund regimes around the world hostile to our country, they are a fact of life, a global power, and an economic reality. So let me be clear. It is not the Prime Minister engaging with China that we take issue with. What we are criticizing is his supine and short-termist approach. I'm sure the Prime Minister means well, but his negotiating tactic has always been to give everything away in the hope that people will be nice to him in return. Before the Prime Minister even got on the plane, he'd already shown that he would do anything to demonstrate his good relationship with China. But China uses every interaction to improve its own position. The Prime Minister looked like he enjoyed his trip. In fact, it looked like a dream come true for a man who was virtually a communist most of his life. But apart from the... Mr. Speaker, apart from the Labubu doll in his suitcase, and I hope he's checked it for bugs, he has come back with next to nothing. We all want cheaper tariffs for Scottish whisky. But if the Prime Minister bothered to speak to the whisky industry like I did 2 weeks ago, he would know that what they really need is cheaper energy and lower taxes. What else did he get? Visa-free travel. China already offers this to other countries. It's not big enough for a prime ministerial visit. But the worst thing, Mr. Speaker, the worst thing was the Prime Minister claiming a glorious triumph with the lifting of sanctions on 4 Conservative MPs, as if he'd done us a favour. Let me tell him, those MPs were sanctioned because they stood up to China. They stood up against human rights abuses. They stood up against the country spying on our MPs in a way that he wouldn't dare. Those people don't want to go to China. The Chinese know that. They know that they are giving him something that costs absolutely nothing. Why can't the British Prime Minister see that? And I say to you, Mr. Speaker, and the whole House, like with the Chagos Islands, the Prime Minister has been played. I would never allow Britain to be held over a barrel like that. Yet again, the Prime Minister has negotiated our country into a weaker position in the world. His entire economic policy is to tax business more, regulate them harder, and make energy so expensive that we deindustrialize. And then we can import Chinese wind turbines, Chinese solar panels, Chinese batteries for electric vehicles, all manufactured in a country that is building a coal-fired power station every other week. Did he speak to them about that? What did his trip achieve for Jimmy Lai? Nothing. Did China promise to stop fueling Putin's war machine in Ukraine? Doesn't sound like it. Have China agreed to stop their relentless cyber attacks? Have they? We all know the answer to that. The reality is that China showed its strength and Britain was pushed around, literally. It is no wonder, Mr. Speaker, that President Xi praised the Labour Party because the Conservatives stood up for Britain. We don't get pushed around. Britain is a great trading nation. Of course we should engage with other countries, even hostile ones.
Order. Mr. Kyle, you said to me when you went to China how well you were behaved. Oh, you owe me a big thank you. You're not showing it today. Come in, Ben. No?
Mr. Speaker, I'm not worried about the business secretary. The entire business community thinks he's a joke and doesn't know what he's talking about. So, as I was saying, of course we should engage with other countries, even hostile ones. But we need to do so with our eyes open and from a position of strength. And that requires a Prime Minister and a government that puts our national interest first.
Mr. Speaker, let me see if I understand her position. This is the Leader of the Opposition who said we should empty chair the most important NATO summit for years, who wouldn't turn up to the G7, who would rip up our valuable trade deals with the US, India and the EU. This is the Leader of the Opposition who characterised Greenland as a second-order issue, then undermined the government's position on sovereignty. And when it comes to China, her policy is to stick her head in the sand, unable to influence anything. In a volatile world, that is not policy, that's an abdication of responsibility. No wonder her front bench are leaving in droves. And Mr. Speaker, she talks of the embassy. China's had an embassy in the UK since 1877. It's currently spread across 7 sites. The Leader of the Opposition is so busy trying to hold her party together, she's clearly not read the letter the Security and Intelligence Services. But, Mr. Speaker, she claims great interest in the China embassy. She was offered an invite for a Privy Council briefing on the issue. What did she do? She chose not to attend. Mr. Speaker, that's a dereliction of duty. Even worse, what did she do? She sent in her place the member for Croydon South, the Shadow Home Secretary. That is a double dereliction of duty. Instead of taking up a Privy Council briefing, she took up a megaphone on the streets outside the embassy. I changed my party from a party of protest to a party of power. She's rapidly going in the opposite direction. And her reply this afternoon seems to be that we should engage with China, but not engage with China. that what we should do, instead of leader-to-leader discussions where we raise all the opportunities and the difficult issues, each and every one of them, instead of those leader-to-leader meetings, should get a bag of sand and put a head in it and influence absolutely nothing. They're so unserious about world affairs. To rebuild our standing. And we have delivered, strengthening our US relationship with our world-first trade deal, resetting our relationship with the EU, striking a groundbreaking FTA with India, and now thawing our ties with China to put this relationship on a more stable footing for the long term. Mr. Speaker, China is the second biggest economy in the world, including Hong Kong. It's our third biggest trading partner, supporting 370,000 British jobs, and it is an undeniable presence in global affairs. It would be impossible to safeguard our national interests without engaging with this geopolitical reality. Yet we inherited a policy from the previous government, not of engagement with China, but hiding away and sticking their heads in the sand. While our allies developed a more sophisticated approach, they let the UK fall behind. We became an outlier. Visited China. Mr. Speaker, in this context, refusing to engage would be a dereliction of duty, leaving British interests on the sideline. And incredibly, some in this House still advocate that approach. But, Mr. Speaker, leaders do not hide. Instead, we engage. And we do so on our own terms, because, like our allies, we understand that engagement makes us stronger. Mr. Speaker, protecting our national security is non-negotiable. We're clear-eyed about the threats coming from China in that regard, and we will never waver in our efforts to keep the British people safe. That is why we've given our security services the updated powers and tools that they need to tackle foreign espionage activity wherever they find it, and tackle malicious cyber activity as well. But the fact is, Mr. Speaker, we can do two things at once. We can protect ourselves whilst also finding ways to cooperate. And it was in that spirit that we made this visit, to deliver jobs and growth for the British people. We took with us a brilliant delegation of nearly 60 businesses and cultural powerhouses, the very best of British, as an embodiment of what this country has to offer. If anyone's in doubt as to why this matters, I urge them to spend a few minutes with any one of those businesses. They will tell you about the incredible potential there and the importance of getting out there and accessing the market. And we made significant progress, paving the way to open the Chinese market for British exports, including our world-leading services sector. We secured a 30-day visa-free travel for all Brits, including business travellers. We secured China's agreement to halve whisky tariffs from 10% to 5%. This is worth £250 million to the UK over the next 5 years. A significant win for our iconic whisky industry, particularly in Scotland. And, Mr. Speaker, that lower tariff comes into force today. In total, we secured £2.3 billion in market access wins, including for financial services, £2.2 billion in export deals for British companies, and hundreds of millions worth of new investments. In addition, Mr. Speaker, we agreed to work together in some key areas of law enforcement. Last year, around 60% of all small boat engines used by smuggling gangs came from China. So we struck a border security pact to enable joint law enforcement action to disrupt that supply at source. We also agreed to scale up removals of those with no right to be in the United Kingdom and to work together to crack down on the supply of synthetic opioids. We will continue to develop our work across all these areas because, Mr. Speaker, this is the start of the process, not the end of it. My visit was not just about coming back with these agreements. It was about the wider question of setting this relationship on a better path, which allows us to deal with issues and seize opportunities in a way that the previous government failed to do.